Alright, what's going on, guys? So next up, we're going to move on to actually just reestablishing and reaffirming how to keyframe animate text. For example, a little bit more advanced than last time, where we're actually going to be animating two pieces of text to have the appearance of coming out of my hands and then being absorbed back into them. So if you guys go to resources, you can go ahead and download this clip that's playing on screen right now. And obviously, this is it without the text. It is just a clip of me walking, and my friend is just following backwards while, recording me, and we're going to try animate some text out of my hands. So for example, the first spot that I probably want to do this is right there when I kind of flick my hand. And we want to get this text out of there so it actually looks like it could be coming out of the hand anyway. So first off, let's go ahead and create our text. Let's go ahead and press T, slap on the screen, and go ahead and write our name, okay? Because that's what essentially I want to be coming out. You don't have to write Jack Cole, of course. By all means, write your own name and have that animated out of my hands. However, whatever it is, we're just going to go ahead and kind of switch up the color of it, stuff like that, just so I'm not creating an identical example to the ones I've created before. But go ahead and just create some nice text like I've just quickly done here and position it to where we'd want it to appear. So for me, I'm going to have it appear here, and I probably want it to appear there right about... See, I'm just looking at my hand, and I'm seeing where the best piece of motion would be. So that's where I actually flick it. So it looks like maybe here would be where I'd want it. So I'd actually go ahead and come to the frame where it would be 100% on screen, because we're trying to make it look like it sucks out of my hand. So we come to the point where we want it 100% on screen, and let's go ahead and add a scale keyframe and a position keyframe, okay? And then let's simply just click step back, and step back until we have the frame where we want it to be originating from. And let's actually just go ahead and readjust that, or readjust this so that we actually can come to this frame where it would be essentially coming out of my hand on, and the beginning frame where the animation would start. And we can go ahead and click on this and drag this center point to my hand, okay? Drag the center point to my hand. Don't worry if it changes this a little bit. This just means that when we start messing with the scale right here, for example, clicking it and dragging it, it is essentially going to be coming in quite like this. So let's go ahead and just undo that quick. And right here is where we'd want to start actually sucking this down to my hand. So let's actually just go ahead and drop that scale by 50. So it's instantly going to jump back up there, but don't worry, we've also set the track parameters, aka keyframes, for position. So if we drag this now back down about here, and keep dragging this back down about here because that's the center, okay, we are actually going to keep sucking this text, and it's going to look like it keeps sucking down. So now we can actually drop this to probably about 20. Okay, and I'm just bringing it down, and the reason I'm bringing it down slowly is because you see you have to keep kind of trying to throw it into here. And let's actually just go ahead and keep trying to push it down into the hand as much as we can. Let's just go ahead and drop that to 10, and it looks like now we've set it up so it is exactly on my hand. So now we can drop that to 0, and if we give this a play, that is going to look like it jumps out of my hand. However, clearly we need to go back here and go to the selected frame, and actually just go to that final frame that it finishes on, and it looks like it has changed the position for us because we've obviously messed with that. So we could go ahead and drag this and just drag it over to the position that we actually want it to come out to. So now if we give this a play right now, it will have tracked that whole motion so that when we're actually walking and we flick our wrist, it looks like Jack, a piece of text that says Jack, comes out of my hand. So if we keep giving this play, it looks like Jack comes out of my hand, and then we actually want to go ahead and reverse this process. For example, when my hand comes back up here to suck it back in. In fact, I might even go over a couple frames and just go ahead and bring this in. So boom, it looks like it flies out of my hand. And now when I come back here, so on the top point, aka that one, I would want to set another keyframe marker, remember, because that tells it that still at this position, it has not changed. So from here, from those keyframes to these keyframes, it just stays there. And then we just want to go across a few until the hand kind of is nearly off screen, and then simply start to lower that again. So we could drop that again to 50 so we see where it's going to. Okay, so it's staying somewhat in the same position. Drag that down to the hand, drop this again even lower to probably about 25, and it looks like it's dead set in that hand, so we can actually just go ahead and drop that to 0 so that it has the illusion that it's being sucked back into that hand. And if we give this a play right now, boom, Jack comes out, and then Jack gets sucked straight back into the hand. And actually, guys, we can go a step further, and you see where this keyframe actually builds to 100. We could go to 100 where it actually would be 100% on screen and add a keyframe for opacity, and then go to 0 and bring that opacity to 0 so that it actually builds the opacity as well, so it doesn't even look as raw. So that, boom, that literally looks like it just flies out of my hand and it just kind of appears from my hand and then comes straight back into it. And we could actually reverse that same process of toggling animation 100 opacity on this one, these keyframes here, and then go into the ones where the text would be gone and putting that on 0, so it actually fades it in while it flies from my hand and then fades it back out. And now here would be where I would want to actually start creating my next text, okay? So let's just go ahead and see where it would actually come in. Okay, so let's just go ahead and delete this right here. Go ahead and press T, or actually go ahead and delete or duplicate this text right here by holding Alt and dragging it over. And let's just go onto this and just go ahead and turn off all this stuff so that obviously it is just a blank piece of text that says Jack. And let's actually go ahead and change that to Cole, or for you guys, change that to your second name. And in fact, I'm going to highlight it and just change it to kind of like a green. Sweet. And I'm just going to bring that over here, okay? So this is Cole. And again, change that. Make sure you change that center point, which is going to be over here, to the hand. So it should suck straight back into that hand. And let's actually just go ahead and go along a few, right? So it looks like we're actually going to want that to be 100% on screen at about here. And we can actually go ahead and just press that scale, toggle keyframe, press that position, toggle keyframe, and then just hit back a few frames until we can see where we'd actually want this to have increased from, aka probably about here. Yep, probably about there. And just go ahead and drop that scale to, let's say, 50 again. Oh, and you see this has started to come in. Go ahead and drag this back over to the hand. Drag the position back over to the hand. Drag the center point rather back over to the hand, and just go ahead and keep dropping this. So we could go back to 25. And we can even go all the way to 0 now that that center point is there, because it knows to actually scale down into that center point. So now if we give this a play, oh, and it looks like for some reason it threw it over there. We actually want to go ahead and bring this all the way over here so that it tracks the position to get over here. For some reason it didn't track that. That was pretty weird. And now if we give this a play, it should work. Boom. So obviously I'm walking along, and it is going to throw that out of my hand. So if we give that a play, boom. And now let's just have it suck back into my hand when I start doing that. So when I start doing that, at the beginning of that movement, we can go ahead and set a toggle keyframe, and then just keep going along until the hand is fully on screen. And just go ahead and again drop that to 50 so we know where it's going. Move that over so it's kind of in position with my hand. Drop that to 25 again so we know where it's going to. Boom. Position that into the middle of my hand. Just go ahead and drop that to fully 0 so we know that's 100% minimizing into the middle of my hand. And then we can again go over to the point where it's 100% on screen and go ahead and just tap that opacity, bring it to the beginning, turn the opacity to 0, again put it over here, tap opacity on 100, bring it to where it's not there, put 0 just so we have a slight fade in and a fade out. And now if I actually just go ahead and render this in and render this out right here using the sequence render in and out, we're going to be actually taking a look at this full sequence right here where we have actually created an animation to this text to fly out of our hand and then of course be absorbed back into our hand just like that. So we have a Jack text absorbing in, and boom, the Cole text, boom. And that right there is a more advanced text animation that we have done, again, using just the keyframes